Are you gonna be my Twitch wife? My Insta wife? Can we make a sunset heart hands?
I can take a picture punching you or giving you a concussion with the car again.
You know this is all going to be on the cold open, right? It's okay, you don't listen to the show, so it's fine.
Are you recording right now?
This is happening right now.
What is it?
We're recording a shotgun. This is happening. You want a shotgun?
A soaring shotgun?
The game! Sport! For the love of the game! Sport! For the love of the game! Sport! Yeah, no, I did.
Since we are her loyal sons, we'll get them on the run, boys. We got them on the run. Yes, we are her loyal sons. We'll get them on the run, boys. We got them on the run.
Hello and welcome to the HLS podcast. My name is Ryan Ritter. You can call me ND Tex. And as always, you can follow us live here on twitch.tv/HerLoyalSons. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or wherever you happen to get your podcast feed at. Come join us in Discord. That is our live chat channel. HerLoyalSons.com/Discord is how you can get there. Of course, you can always find us at HerLoyalSons.com. And typically, this is the point where I would introduce Shane. I think Shane may be having some technical difficulties because as we were chatting for setting this thing up, unfortunately, we decided to hit a small window of halftime to at least start this thing. It's disconnected, so hopefully we can get it back up soon. So we're going to the joy of doing live podcasting on the fly, we are going to try to change some stuff up. So initially what we were going to do is have some Cotton Bowl reactions and then go into some of the audio that I recorded at the Cotton Bowl. Since Shane, going to give him some time to get on, but I want to get this started as Georgia and Texas are in halftime. And Georgia, right now, boy, you got to be careful when you talk shit on Twitter, don't you, Georgia? While you may still come out and win this one, I think you might be able to bury every last opinion you had about being on the playoff and just take it dead and gone. It's been absolutely hilarious to watch Texas kind of embarrass them for a little while, but we'll see what happens to the second half. I hope as the game comes back on, you will keep us with you. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer as I do this audio. My genius ass did not realize that, hey, when you do a test with your microphones, you should probably have some more ambient noise around and you should probably record in a bunch of different ways. So I kind of made a few errors in there. I should have brought a windshield with me. I did not. There's also a little bit of clipping and stuff, so I am sorry for when the audio gets a little weird, gets a little crappy. Try to do as much as I can to make it sound good quality. So I have a handful of interviews, and then we're going to get into Cotton Bowl reactions, and I do have indeed a lot of thoughts, so there'll be plenty of hot takes coming at you here. But first, what I'm going to start with is at the HLS Tailgate. One of the coolest parts about it, running that, was really seeing a lot of the fans that were around there. I mean, from all corners, it was absolutely fantastic to get to meet so many of you that have been reading us, that have been listening to us. So the first person that you're going to hear is actually somebody local to Texas. His name is Eric, and this was actually his first Notre Dame game. And Eric, man, I'm sorry we didn't win it for you, but we're going to go ahead and get kicked off right now with Eric, and he had a little bit of an interesting story of how he got his tickets there. All right, over here at the HLS Tailgate, and I got somebody to where it's his first Notre Dame game. What's your name?
Eric Martinez.
All right, Eric. So first, and you're local from here in Texas,
from Fort
right?
Worth.
So from Fort Worth, so not too bad of a drive.
No.
So how did you get tickets for this game?
My wife and my in-laws actually got them for me for Christmas. So
very nice. I heard you had to go on a little adventure to get them.
Yeah, my wife did a scavenger hunt, like opened a little box and there was a piece of paper inside with cut up letters like serial killer style, you know, like it was a ransom note or something, and had me travel all over the house and outside and back in the house and outside until finally I went upstairs and there was a box that was wrapped up in another box inside, another box, another box, another box. And then the whole time I'm thinking it was a Nintendo Switch because that's what I asked it for. Because this was obviously this was what I really wanted, but I couldn't afford it, I thought. So I saw the tickets and said, "Are you effing kidding me?"
You can cuss on the podcast. It's
I
fine.
said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then I bawled like a little girl. So
Oh, man,
yeah,
that's
I was
awesome.
crying. It was so awesome.
So been a Notre Dame fan all your life then?
Yes, since I was 8 years old.
And this is your first game.
Yes.
The Cotton Bowl against Clemson. So obviously I can see it in your face. You're extremely excited,
I'm
just
very
beaming
excited.
right now. So how are you feeling about the game?
A little nervous, obviously, but I'm still confident. You know, hopefully our offensive line can withstand. You know, with Lawrence gone anyway. Hopefully they can put it to work and Dexter can go to work. So.
All right, that's awesome. We'll have a lot of fun here.
Oh, man, thanks for having me.
Enjoy your first. Oh no, happy to have you here. Enjoy your first experience, and next thing you have to do is get up to South Bend for one there.
Oh man,
Gotta make it
that's
to the
on my
Mecca.
bucket list. I'm gonna be like Rudy's dad, crying. I know I am. So
Will you be crying at this one?
yeah, when we win.
There we go. That's what I love. All right, thanks, Eric, so much.
Thank you,
man. All right, so that was Eric. That's where we're going to start it off with. And for those of you that are listening on the pod, Shane will be on in a second. He is getting things set up. And while he does that, I am going to plug in. One of the coolest things was I've joined this blog, and I've only really gotten to talk to a lot of folks on the phone. A lot of people I've been able to meet in person, but the people that I have not ever gotten to meet in person were our original OGs of HLS, the Biscuit and MQ. They came by towards the tail end of the tailgate, so I definitely wanted to get some audio from the HLS OGs. All right, let's do this. All right. So I am here with MQ. I'm here with the Biscuit. What's up? The godfathers of HLS.
Oh shit, okay, that too.
We're going to do like a quick history of HLS right now, because y'all have said, been doing this since really y'all were in college in the 90s right now.
Oh.
So what was the start of all this? How did HLS, like, the zygote, you said?
So I started stirring up shit when I was at Notre Dame because I was spying on Bob Davie from the Joyce Center, and I would spill shit on the Notre Dame forums about what they were up to in practice, and then he'd get all pissed off at us. So, but that was just on the forums, and then years went by, and Blue Gray Sky was writing good shit, and I was like, well, I can write slightly worse shit. So I started Her Loyal Sons, and I told Biscuit here, I was like, we're going to do a blog because we can come up with our own stupid opinions and write for the plebeians that can't get in depth like Blue Gray Sky can do. So that's how I got started.
I like that. HLS. Almost slightly worse than everything else. All right,
That's
so
right.
Biscuit.
About right.
When you came on board HLS, like full board, like what were you thinking? What were you trying to accomplish as far as getting done here?
There was no goal. It was just release the relentless anger. That was it.
Catharsis.
It was pure catharsis. Let it all out every week. Bash Michigan. Bash everyone that hated Notre Dame. Make the leprechauns dance, and then I felt happy inside.
Yeah, we make the leprechauns dance still every year. So, and somewhere along the line, both you two dumbasses brought me on board.
Yes.
So what I gotta know right now, because I'm gonna play this to MQ right now. Were you looking for some poor sap to dump this all on?
No, I wasn't looking to dump it on you. I just knew you were writing good stuff at your own blog, and I had no more energy for my own stuff because I had 2 children at the time. Now I have 3, so my energy was only going to get worse.
And I have 2 kids. So what is this?
I don't
gonna do
know
to me?
how the hell you keep going, man. Between your kids and your house, I don't know how the fuck.
I had just started thinking about having kids around that time, so I was still full bore in it for like life. And then when I had my second and third kid, that was when I had to go like, all right, now I got to tap back a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Even when Q said he was stepping back, I was like, I'm in this till I die, and I swore.
Yeah,
but I would not.
No,
I would never let up. And then, like, when we came back a week or 2 ago to write, we were both talking about it this morning at breakfast. It got hard to like drum up the energy and like make it happen. It's hard with kids and jobs and shit. So, man, kudos kudos to you. You've done an amazing job, and everyone listening is so lucky to have Tex in their lives.
Well, no, and you know, because we had an in-depth biscuit, we had an in-depth conversation because look, let's open the kimono here a little bit. I was very
inner
close.
workings.
I was very close to folding up shop.
Yes.
I was very close to letting
Let's
it
be
go.
honest, this has happened 4 times now.
It really has. No.
The last one was the closest.
It really has. But
There's gravity there, though. It draws you back in because look what it created. Now you're here. Look at all these amazing people. They're here because of you.
and this tailgate is so much bigger than I ever
There's at least
expected.
100 people here hanging out at Texas or Loyal Sons
This
tailgate.
is absolutely fucking ridiculous right now.
Texas King.
And it's way better than Mike Golic Jr.'s tailgate, which is next door. In your face, Mike Golic Jr.
I feel
No,
like,
it was funny
like
because
Biscuit and I were like the colonizers of her loyal sons, and now you're like the actual founding father who like made something great. So
I don't know if I'm the founding father.
We got killed by the natives.
Exactly. We're like that Roanoke village that disappeared. You know, and nobody knows what the hell happened to us. And
You're
and
Ponce
Tex
de
took it
Leon,
over
baby.
and was like, let's go.
So I got
Make
a founding
something great.
because I need that because my boys are driving me to the ground right
Well,
now.
that's just parenting. Get used to it.
It's absolutely
Just get
parenting.
used to
Never
living
goes away.
underground.
All right, but let's talk serious. Let's talk serious Notre Dame football here. Notre Dame, Clemson. We're gonna start walking to the stadium here in a little bit, boys.
Yeah.
Fired up.
We're
Ready to go.
We're about fired up. We're ready to go. But that all being said, how do we feel about this one?
I've said I think if we don't get kicked in the face in the first 10 minutes, we're going to make a really good go at it. If we come out nervous and they get real confident, we got to punch them in the mouth a little bit in the first quarter. Maybe they're up by 3, maybe we're up by 3, maybe we're down by 6, but as long as we're moving the ball and we get settled in, I think we make a run and we win this game. If they come out, they get hot real quick, get 7 or 14 or something, I think it's going to be a real tough go.
All right. What do you think, MQ?
I think Notre Dame by 2, and we're going to talk about Ian Book like we used to talk about Joe Montana.
You know what? Ooh, it's almost like there was a Cotton Bowl thing that happened with Joe Montana.
It rings a bell.
It rings a bell.
I want to say it was before I was born, but I think it was when I was born. So.
There's chili here. I don't know how many people have eaten the chili because it's really cold here in Texas right now.
It is. It's ridiculous.
This is
Notre Dame weather.
I think Jerry should open the roof. What do you think?
Yes.
Hell no.
Let's go.
Hell no.
Let's California boy.
baby.
Let's California boy.
Keep it
Comfortable.
toasty. Keep it toasty. Keep it toasty.
Absolutely.
All day.
This is a biscuit. This is your dad, right?
This is my dad. This is the
Absolutely.
original biscuit.
All right, so this is the original biscuit.
I've been along for the ride since my son went to Notre Dame and having a great time.
Oh, and we're having a great time right here, right now. So how are you feeling about this game?
I think if we hold our own in the beginning, intercept a pass or 2, and stick it to them.
Oh, there we go. Let's take it to him because remember, this is a true freshman.
That's right.
Starting a quarterback for Clemson. Look, this is Tex. I'm with the OGs right here. This has been an incredible experience getting to tailgate with these
First
boys
time
right
in the
now.
history of HLS where we've all physically been in the same place.
This is very true.
First time. And actually, probably the second time he and I have been physically together since we started the blog over 10 years
Known each
ago.
other for 20 years.
Where's food? Where's food? Oh, well, wait. Too soon.
Rip, dude. Sorry,
Rip food.
pouring one up for you, buddy.
Hey, wait. How about we do a shot, boys?
All right.
We'll do a shot.
I'm game for a shot.
Peace out, HLS Nation. We love
Peace
you
out.
guys.
We're not going to do this one live. The OGs are going to take one off record. Let's do this. Go Irish. Beat Clemson.
All right, there you go. There's the first part of it. All right, y'all can probably see Shane now. Shane, I know we've been talking back and forth while that interview was going on. Hopefully you can hear me now, and hopefully I can hear you.
Yeah, I can actually hear you and
Hey,
myself.
there we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, I didn't bring any of the bagels to the tailgate. That's a good one. So, well, I'll let you call it here, Shane. Should we got 4 interviews left. They're I don't know the quality of them. Do you want to get into those, or do you want to go ahead and get into Cotton Bowl takes?
Why don't we just put the postmortem on that Cotton Bowl? What do you think?
All right, yeah, let's go ahead and get that done. And go ahead and we're gonna bookend this with happy drunk Tex, sad, not really drunk Tex, but drinking right now Tex. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that. So
It's called the Misery Sandwich.
the misery sandwich. That's like the saddest podcast segment we've ever come up with.
There you go, the misery sandwich.
Dino's just saying, screw the game. Well, but you're going to have to hang on. So for those of you that are in chat now, we got Eddie. I specifically interviewed Eddie. Got some of my college buddies that are on there. And then Jessica Smetana from Sports Illustrated. Mike Golic from ESPN. Mike Golic Jr., rather, from ESPN, who you will see I drunkenly misidentified the place he worked for right off the bat. So... If you're ready for more off the wheels drunk test with the digital recorder that needed a damn windshield, I got you covered. But yeah, let's talk about Notre Dame 30, Clemson 3. Oh, that sucked. How about that?
Yeah, I think we just need to speak frankly about what happened. I mean, it was just objectively not Notre Dame's day. I mean, you have to understand that human error is a lot to blame there, but Notre Dame kind of got what they wanted and it still didn't work. That's pretty much the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, I would agree. And look, let me get out the big disclaimer here, because I did a couple things. One, I decided to kind of be trolly with my shirt. All right. I went ahead and put it on because, one, I got a bunch for Christmas, and they're really comfortable, by the way. They're really comfortable. So they're nice, and really I'm wearing it more also to make a point, not only to kind of make some people mad that like, oh, what the fuck, Texas wearing that shit? No, it's more of, look, the one game isn't going to ruin the whole season for me. And if it ruins it for you, that's fine. Okay, look, I get it. Everybody handles Notre Dame losses in a different way. Everybody's goalposts are different. Bottom line is, I thought that was a game we could win. I still think that was a game we could have won. Or rather could have won. And the reason I still think that is because going back and rewatching the game as I was trying to put the Matrix back in my head, because I had all these, or actually it's really like, you know how you're supposed to defrag your hard drive because all the data's there, it's just all in different places, so things just don't function quite right. That's the way my brain was because of the state I was in, as people could hear on the interviews. Yeah. So when I was watching the game, and I was watching on the All-22 footage with Milfy as well, because he was still at my house, we were watching it, and it was just amazing how many mistakes were made, and you can't do that against Clemson, because Clemson, by far, is the better team than Notre Dame. There were too many mistakes made. You had Julian Love go down with injury, and then you also had a mix of, I don't know how in the hell that fumble was overturned, but it was.
Yep.
And so nothing broke right for Notre Dame, and mistakes were made. Ian Book had by far his worst game of really his career at Notre Dame, and that was the wrong time to have it. So you have all those ingredients combined, and it's just one gigantic shit sandwich.
Yeah, I mean, it boiled down to two things. I mean, you mentioned them both. It was the magical, somehow definitive fumble overturn when the nose of the ball was over the line by not touching it. That's fine. But really the biggest thing for me that created the largest domino effect was very simply Julian Love going out of the game.
Yes, huge.
Because essentially Clemson was held without the big play, which is essentially what their offense was predicated upon the entire season for that first quarter or so. And the second Julian Love steps out of the game, they said, "Oh, hi, Dante Vaughn. Let me see. Can you catch this one? No? Oh, let's do it again. Can you catch this one? No." So that set the whole momentum of the game off. And, of course, the costly interception, Ian Book having a really bad game. But because Julian Love left the game, they got into rhythm with what they normally do. And then Notre Dame never really stood a chance of answering at that point.
And it was at the end of the second half where it just got poured on. And look, in Vaughn's defense, I mean, he was getting picked on left and right. It was a huge drop, but T. Higgins scored a touchdown on him after he tried to swat the ball out of the air. And which in that case, that's when you reach over. If that was a sim or I'm playing NCAA, that's when I reach over and reboot the Xbox. Because I'm like, that's horse shit. Like, what else can you do in that situation beyond pick the ball off? And I know the other knock was, okay, well, Clemson had this problem too. Dexter Lawrence was out. He got suspended, and they didn't seem to have a drop-off. Why can't Notre Dame have that depth? Well, that was the weakest part of the roster as far as depth that we all knew coming in. And Notre Dame has been trying to shore it up. But did we all forget about that guy named Sean Crawford that got injured before the season even started? And then all of a sudden how are we going to have a nickel package? And that was one of the things that saw during the All-22. We barely ran any nickel, and that's exactly why, because there was just this huge drop-off. You had Drew Tranquil, Asmir Bilal, as well as Alohi Gilman playing in loads of single coverage. In the second half, they tried to adjust to playing more zone coverage, which completely blew up in our face because it just was not working at all. It knocked the Irish off the game plan. And yeah, look, Clemson was just better. Look, that's just the bottom line. Clemson was better, and I love that Georgia's getting their asses smacked around right now as we're recording this live, because that takes so much care of one major part of the narrative that has been annoying. Because, look, it's not just Notre Dame, and Georgia is objectively a better team than Texas. Now, like the offense, I expected Texas offense to be able to do something. And really, actually, it's about to this point, because as we're watching live right now, it is the third quarter of Georgia and Texas isn't blowing them out by any means, but this is the Big 12 runner-up. This is literally the lowest ranked team in the New Year's Six, and they haven't put up 30, 40 points. They're in the 20s right now. So it's about what you're expecting. What wasn't expected is Georgia can't do shit on offense against a really bad Texas defense. That's a problem.
Yeah. Hey, can you have they called Maryland? DJ Durkin's available. I'm just saying.
Oh God, no, he's not. He's in the Nick Saban halfway house right now, probably working for free or something. Yeah, the score right now is 20-7. I just wanted to make sure I didn't say anything definite. But yeah, we didn't even have a dime package. We didn't have a nickel package at all, as Milfy points out. But hey, it is what it is. I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted in the stands, and I had one of the most friendly Notre Dame fans sitting next to me. I mean, she was standing constantly. She was always into it, and she was even trying to talk me up like towards the fourth quarter. I'm like, it's okay. I told her, it's like I love you. I appreciate where you're coming from right now. They're just better, and it's okay that we're going to lose this one. And I'm trying to make peace with it as bad as I am about it.
Yeah, I watched the game with my two friends from Miami at their apartment in Miami, and they were just essentially like, "Look, I'm not sure what to expect, but it should be a game." And by the second quarter, they had basically started the whole like, man, and it's not looking good, dude. Don't worry. Like, here, have another drink. And I had to just immediately be like, "Look, dude, like, I'm grown at this point, man. Like, the callus is so thick, that it's not the kind of thing where I feel I need consolation, or I feel like I need to go through the stages of grief or bargain.
Right.
I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I get it. I see it now. Before, it was like, I suspect Notre Dame may surprise Clemson, or at least give them a challenge, because they all things pointed to Notre Dame belonging in that position and having the right to actually give them a chance to a challenge. And then Clemson just went around and just said, yeah, no, you guys weren't quite ready. And that's fine. I was prepared for that outcome.
Yeah, and it was a possible outcome. It was absolutely a possible outcome. It was one that we talked about in the sim and even before the sim came up, that Notre Dame was going to have to play, as mistake-free football as they could, and they just didn't. But the thing was, what gets lost in all of this, to wherever it's like, oh, it's 2012 all over again. No, not really. Like, the score was worse because Notre Dame didn't get junk TDs. It was not worse than 2012 because it was a competitive football game for a little while. And then it's like, well, what is Notre Dame going to do? Is BK going to turn the quarter? Well, that's really the bigger question. I really don't know if this is so much, maybe you can lay some preparation on there on BK's shoulders, but it's hard to really lay preparation on his shoulders when they came out and executed the game plan. It was working. So, I mean, you have a backup quarterback. You could tell why they really wanted Wimbush to work, because they really needed the Michigan game plan. They needed Wimbush to beat Michigan. They probably needed a Wimbush-like athletic talent. They barely went deep at all with Book. Barely.
Yeah, barely even tried it.
And trust me, watching the All-22, there was loads of open receivers, or at least some good one-on-one matchups where he could have done some back shoulder throws. So, yeah, it was a problem. So what does Notre Dame have to do? And this was like the big topic of what do we have to do in this environment. And the thing that sucks is we're really in an environment where it's Clemson, it's Alabama, it's, maybe Ohio State peaks up here and there, but you saw they had a little bit of a rough season. They dropped it to Purdue. Thankfully, they got to play a really bad Washington team who, thank you, glorious backdoor cover dogs, by the way. At least
Oh
you
my
did something
God, yeah, right.
worthwhile. And then, Georgia clearly has a lot of talent, but they're getting it handed to them right now. And you can say, well, they're not motivated, but yeah, whatever. When you're talking a bunch of noise, you can't lay an egg. So it happens. Now, what I think eventually needs to happen is, obviously, we're not going to get the sheer amount of 5 stars. Maybe we get one here and there, but it's really about finding talent and doing what you can to coach them up to make the 3 stars like 4 and maybe make a 4-star here and there like a 5. And the other thing that we were talking about is you have to think about recently, especially recent history, who's been knocking around besides Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State. It's been Oklahoma. Who have they had? 2 Heisman runners in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, it's maybe not that far-fetched to ask for. That maybe it's Phil for all we know, and we keep on doing this. But this is why BK takes a quarterback every season. It's really hard to find that elite fucking quarterback. We thought it was going to be Wimbush. It didn't pan out. Book was a nice revelation, but it's clear he's not going to be the answer either. And I love Ian Book. Don't get me wrong. Dude came out on fire, did exactly what he needed to do. We don't go defeated without Ian Book. Just like in 2012, we don't go undefeated without Tommy Rees. But you can't have quarterback by committee. You have to have the guy. He's got to be able to do something. Alabama has a Heisman runner-up at quarterback. Clemson has got a quarterback that looks like a damn Heisman contender because I tell you what, Lawrence impressed the hell out of me. That guy, we were starting to count in the first couple of quarters how many sacks he was escaping.
He was avoiding everything. A slippery giant bastard.
And not only that, he wasn't just throwing all the run with strength, but with accuracy. And it's something like Book can throw on the run with some accuracy, but he cannot zip it down the field like Lawrence can. No. It was night and day between the two quarterbacks. So the kid really impressed me. Is he going to be able to beat Alabama? I don't know. Alabama's still the favorite in that game, and they're a favorite for damn good reason because it's not like that defense is a slouch, even though it's not the Alabama death machine defense. That offense is a death machine, and it's going to be crazy. But, yeah, I tell you what, it's really Notre Dame, the margin of error, and I even saw some quotes from Jack Schwarbrick. It's just that the margin of errors are small. They're still expecting to get there, and I still expect them to get there. So if anybody's saying I'm making excuses for BK, let's make it clear. I expect that dude to win a title at some point.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, what else is there to do? I mean, that's the stage. Yes, it's year 9. So at this point, any benchmarking it's moot.
Yeah, you can say it's year 9, or if you want to say he fired himself and hired a new Brian Kelly, it's year 2.
It's the same difference. But at this point, the only expectation is a title. You've been here twice. You're not going to go over 3. I mean, come on. Like, the idea would be, try to keep – the expectation is to get here every year, and then the hope is to clear the hurdle, and then the dream is to win the title. Yes?
Absolutely, yes. I 100% agree there. Yeah, TP Poker, go ahead and ask a question in the chat. By all means, we'll be happy to answer it. But basically, yeah, and even I'm not going to give too much away with the Golic interview, but this is a question I asked him because he played under Brian Kelly, and now he's in that media spotlight. He's got the national narrative in front of him every day, working with the folks over in Bristol. So he has a very unique perspective on that. And he basically said the same thing as what people expect. You saw Khalid Kareem, literally when he announced his coming back today, says, I can't end it on that.
And on that note.
And Julian Love seemed to have one foot in the door too. Maybe he ends up coming back for a similar reason, which Notre Dame needs that. You need upperclassmen to hit at the right time. And yeah, there's a lot of luck involved, but Notre Dame has been increasing their odds because the recruiting that they've been doing has been so much better than what it has been, even under BK at the start. They're not chasing the 5-star. I think they chased a little too hard on some of the 5 stars, and I think it was at the expense of some of the rest of the recruiting class. This early signing period allows them to really get their shit together sooner, allows them to get their core class together, and the 4 stars have gone up. I know people don't like to hear that, but you need that in the back as well, because look, we're never going to be able to sub 5 stars for 5 stars, but you can't go 4 or 5-star down to a 2. even
Right.
a 3. You really want 4 stars being back there, especially on the D line. So yeah, it's I think Milfy said it. Yeah, steadier. It's more consistent. There's less holes, but we need some playmakers. Dexter was the closest thing I think we had. Boykin showed some flashes. Claypool had a bad game. I'm sorry, Shane.
He did. He objectively did. I mean, really, the offense as a whole just didn't ever get on the same page with each other. I mean, it was evident when the swings were going in the favor of the run game a little bit, and it wasn't maintained when they had that option. And then when they switched to the passing game, they weren't connecting. There were overthrows. There was that weird attempt at the trick play that was immediately blown up, or at least read well. They never really found the weakness in the Clemson defense that they consistently they could run up the middle and then not find another window for 10 straight plays, and then they'd find a window and then not find another one for they just never had a rhythm. So
yeah, they did. Leaving plays on the field, I agree, Melfi. So here's a question for us, Shane, and TP Poker is also given a rest in peace shout out to Dennis Hopper, so I want to make sure I get that in there. Question is, and I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, Notre Dame has had so much great talent over the past few years, but can't win in the big spot. What is it? Like I said, margin of error is just small. Margin of error is really, really small. I think Notre Dame can win in the big spot. I think they're making steps to get there. But I think it would help if we have an elite playmaker. If we get lucky enough to have a Heisman contender leading the pack, that's Oklahoma had one and they still couldn't top Alabama. Now all they did was score points. But I tell you what, if you watch that game, the game was never in doubt. Because I was drunk and tired. I went to bed in the fourth quarter. I'm like, nope. Yeah. I know where this is going, and that's what it was. I looked up the score afterwards. It was return serve, scored. Oklahoma couldn't stop them. So I think the biggest thing is that, and you wonder it's hard to play the what if game. Notre Dame had even some what ifs in 2012. What if Manti Te'o wasn't catfish? What if, there was a muff punt situation in that game? There was also a weird third down overturn with Eifert, if I remember right. So there was some early weirdness there, but Alabama was just better. Like, flat out just better at the end. Go ahead.
No, I think at this stage there's a perspective aspect or issue that needs to be like constantly addressed or maintained throughout the narrative. It's like think about how aggressively and how quickly the benchmark in college football has changed in just the past 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. If you took Tim Tebow's Florida team and put him in the college football landscape this year, do you really think that they could compete at the level that they did in 2005 and 2006?
No.
I mean, look at a stat was brought to my attention today that disturbed me. That Nick Fitzgerald is now the SEC's leading rusher at quarterback in history. Tim Tebow now looks up to him, and yet we think of a quarterback like Nick Fitzgerald like that fucking guy that plays for Mississippi State, like kind of whatever. Nowadays that level of performance is not simply enough to give you like, oh, he was a great player. It's supposed to be a great team. They're supposed to be the best. Because there's still an Alabama and a Clemson that is a tier above the rest that can't really be reached. So where if you have erased those two teams, parity, I think, would make an Oklahoma, for example, the obvious best team in the country, I think, this year. If you take Clemson and Alabama out of it, you no longer have the landscape that we have right now. So, because those teams exist, it's just a hurdle that exists for everyone. Notre Dame happened to be the victim this year, frankly.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily that they have a problem that's long-standing. Yes, they have a history of big bowl losses, but I don't think that there's a thread to draw there. There isn't one thing. Yeah, I think nowadays
previous performances, and it sucks because it's not just even the ones BK has, it's everybody's. Yeah. Because then there's no patience at all, which I get, I understand. And when Indy Gal, asks, similar question, what about the Cotton Bowl game plan tells you BK can win it all? Like I said, the game plan was working. They went down and they were moving the ball against Clemson, and you're not going to score a drive every single time on one of the best defenses in the nation. And up until the point where they got their field goal, things were looking like it was working. There were people out there. They were open. And, Milfy was responding in chat that just Book couldn't get right, doesn't know why. I'll tell you why, because he was getting harassed in the backfield and he got tunnel visioned. He wasn't doing what made him successful. And when you panic sometimes, it doesn't matter how well you're coached. Like, I had great coaching like crazy throughout my life in baseball, from my dad, from a lot of really great talented coaches. I had a private pitching coach. I was lucky enough to have one of those. He was a private coach of Kerry Woods of the Chicago Cubs. Like, dude knows how to coach major league talent. Yeah. I just couldn't do it. It wasn't a fact of coaching. I had a ceiling, and I couldn't crack it. And I think Book hit a ceiling, and he regressed at a bad time. And sometimes you have bad games. Now, obviously you can blame the coach left and right, but it's hard to blame the coach when there's other big games that Book came in and win. LSU last year, he came in cold and brought Notre Dame back and won that one. And really, I don't even think it was how good the Clemson secondary was. When you got Boykin drop passes, Claypool dropping passes as well. Mac dropped a pass that was a for sure first down. If you go back to that first drive, Notre Dame, even though they had to punt, they converted that first down. It was a drop ball. That's not Book's fault. How much you want to blame that on coaching? At a certain point, I know people hate to hear it, but you got to fucking execute. You have to play. And if everybody has a bad game all at once, I mean, sure, blame coaching if you want, but there's just not much you can do.
Yeah, execution is highly underappreciated. Consider this: everything works in the ideal. Like everything, it's all that adage, right? The best laid plans of mice and men. Like everyone, you can set up the plan perfectly, but the players still have to do the thing right. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we always plan with the assumptions that players are always going to make the catch and the throw's always going to be on target. You know what I mean? Like that's the ideal world, but these are people. And they still need to do it. So when your receivers aren't making the catches, that's no one's fault but that guy not having his eyes and hands in the same place at the same time.
Right. Now, on the counterpoint, where I will criticize Brian Kelly, Chip Long, even Clark Lee, as far as points where the plan did not go very well, was we decided to move the pocket a lot, which wasn't a bad idea with Clemson's rush, but the problem is sometimes when you move the pocket, you slide protection, and that leaves the defender free. I think that's a really stupid game plan to do when you got defenders the caliber of Clemson. Book is not fast enough to get away from that, and Clemson's defenders are quick enough to close on it. Because typically the idea, and it's like, why do that? The idea is if you leave one guy free, now you have one less person to block. So if they blitz or do anything else, you should be able to maintain it, and you're relying on your quarterback to get rid of the ball quickly. Probably wasn't a great idea, especially when Book's having a bad day. Moving the pocket around, moving him, I think that was just doomed from the start, quite frankly.
Yeah, it was not going to be a sustainable game plan. Maybe they had a backup, but if they did, they never went to it. Because that was never really going to work long term. So I feel for that for Book in that regard, but you know, after getting sacked 6 times, I mean, at a certain point, it's like, yeah, he's going to get erratic. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, and as far as, because I mentioned Clark Lee was not really having a good game plan for how to help out Vaughn, because he left too many other very talented defenders on islands trying to help Vaughn out, trying to help the defense out, that just didn't quite click, and then just going full like loose zone. And Notre Dame plays a loose style of defense, bend don't break. It just all kind of fell apart. And look, it happens. And I know it's a lot to ask, but that's where I criticize. And I know Milfy's saying in there, you know, always blame execution at the coach's feet. Well, so what is it that the rest of the 12 weeks, and this is the 1 week we're going to blame BK?
Yeah, no.
I mean that's what you know, Shane's saying that people are human. That's what I say, that you know, people have to execute after a certain point. And you can say, yeah, the wheels come off at the worst times, but the wheels were on the damn train for a half.
Yes, they were. And
there's the other thing that happened there was Jerry Tillery had a very, very dumb penalty.
What is in his nature that he can't let that shit go?
And let's be very clear. This isn't the first time that Tillery has done this, because he's been suspended for doing some dumb shit in a bowl game before. he kicked a player around at USC because he couldn't get his head right and he was pissed off about what was going on.
I'm in the dick.
Yeah, well, he kicked a concussed player in the head.
Yeah.
And now you have a situation where he takes 4 steps and a shot at a running back. You can only scream so much at a player for trying to do the right thing. Eventually, he's got to do the right thing. For 12 games, he did the right damn thing. He had his head screwed on straight. Tillery was getting cover. He was cover boy athlete, man.
Yep.
Cover boy athlete. He's figured it out, and for all season, he had it figured out. And it took one moment to undo all of that. And that's why I say, like, look, I mean, BK didn't coach him to do that. Clark Lee didn't coach him to do that. Elston didn't coach him to do that. And so there's only so much that, to me, when you have execution problems from a coaching perspective, it's when everything's off. It's not just, and unfortunately we had way too many players that were off, but the people that were off in this instance were people that had history of it. And I even say Ian Book, because let's not forget that when he had to play last season against UNC, he looked like a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And we saw backup quarterback Ian Book. So the thing that makes me, at least if you want the why do I see BK maybe not necessarily turn the corner, I mean, he is what he is. He's getting the most out of these guys, but this coaching staff as a whole, and it's not just BK, it's the conditioning program, Body by Bayless, it's Clark Lee, it's Chip Long, because we saw what happens when BK goes completely insular. It doesn't work. We've proven that. But they get more out of their team.
Yeah.
Am I buying Dabo's statement that ND was the best team they played? Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Have you looked at Clemson's schedule?
Objectively,
who would you put above them?
Who else on their schedule didn't lose a game? Let's start there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not only, I mean, there's that, but also this was, I would also say, the most complete team that they played.
Well,
and
yeah, obviously.
And Clemson, they gave Clemson, that first quarter was so much fun. That was what I was hoping for. That was great. And you're like, okay, Notre Dame can, and when that fumble happened on the kickoff, you're like, all right, here it is. That's the break we're waiting for. Take it. Oh, wait, now it's gone.
Now it's gone.
Okay, well, now stop them. And that, and they did. And that's the other thing you have to realize. This is also good coaching. That was a huge, huge gut punch. Clemson punted on that drive.
Yep. And then they did nothing with it.
They did absolutely nothing with it. And then the rest of it, eventually the offense has to do something, and then the defense just, everybody, I mean, look, Notre Dame got their souls beaten out of them. Mm-hmm. And Syracuse ran them, but the problem was that was the perfect storm of Bryant literally leaving Clemson. Lawrence got injured for the rest of the game, and it got to a point to where Hunter Renfrow was this close to coming in as the emergency quarterback.
Yeah,
that's why Syracuse ran them.
It was the most chaotic, the weakest point Clemson had been, and was going to be all season. So they caught them at a unique moment, but even Syracuse couldn't close it. So I mean, even with all that shit, imagine with 3 or 4 weeks of bowl preparation,
Absolutely, completely agree. Another question from ND Gal: should BK put Brandon in and let him just create the way he does? You know what? Honestly, I don't think, and that has been a question that I think deserves a good answer to that I can't give because of why he didn't. Maybe it was, okay, Brandon BK knows he's got a foot out the door and doesn't want to risk him being injured. Or he just said, look, Book got us here. I'm going to run with it. I have no idea. But at the point where you're down 30-3,
what's the point?
In the fourth quarter when Clemson's putting in their backups, I mean, just why? Exactly. Why the hell not?
Yeah, you don't lose anything.
And this isn't even, gambling reasons, trying to get the backdoor cover. No, it's just, hey, look, Ian, it's not your night. We're going to do exactly what we did in the not the Music City Bowl, in the Citrus Bowl. Mm-hmm. We're going to sit you, bud.
Yeah, only the flip version. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I'm actually surprised he didn't, but I also wonder if there was just this feeling that the game was so far out of reach that BK didn't even want to do anything with it.
Possibly, but at this point, it's like, well, I mean, the milk is spilled, man. Let's go.
Yeah. So, and that would be another point where I think Kelly deserves a lot of fair criticism because when you don't, basically throw the kitchen sink at him, it does look like a give up, and people don't like seeing their team give up, especially when you spend a bunch of money in traveling and going in there. Hell, the tickets I had weren't cheap.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's no way Wimbush would have said he didn't want to get injured, and like I said, that would have been a Kelly decision. So yeah, let me be clear. There's no way Wimbush said, "Hey, coach, don't put me in." It would have been, "Hey, BK," kind of in his head saying, "Look, I don't want to be the guy that ruins Wimbush's grad transfer." That's the only logical thing I can think of beyond the fact that BK just decided he was just going to run with Book. He got him there, and it was over. So what the hell? We're just going to keep going with it. Yeah, and Drew, and like I said, this is part of the one-on-one matchups that Drew should not be covering freaking T. Higgins ever.
No, dude, that was just like come on, like way to set him up for failure, man.
And like I said, that's where I criticized Lee and the game plan, and hell, that's where the DB situation really came back to bite us. So and Dino's talking about a lot of good upside. They were definitely tired at the end, and that's what I do see from a program building perspective. I do like where we're going more so than I ever have. I felt like 2012 was really where we could take off, but what's been different is things have took off since even 4-8. Things have had a dramatically different outlook from the recruiting side, from the program perspective. It's going in a much better fashion and is healthier than it's ever been before. I don't think, and it's annoying to say this, especially for the anti-BK crowd, and trust me, I know these words are infuriating, so I get it. Mm-hmm. I don't think BK really got how to win at Notre Dame on a consistent basis until he went 4-8.
Yep.
And that's year 7. That's not good.
Yeah, it took a long time.
So, yeah, and really it's... And I think that's another reason where you could say BK is a good coach, because despite himself, he recruited well enough, got enough good players, is able to get the most out of his players to where even his own screw-ups and hiring BVG. I mean, Jalen Smith basically gave BVG an extra year on his job.
Pretty much. just because he existed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So... it was disappointing. I'm still gutted. I'm still mad. Watching Georgia still struggle right now is making me extremely happy.
Cathartic.
And that's all I could do. Michigan got their asses handed to them. That makes me happy. So yeah, I'm back just laughing at people that are failing, because that's all you can do in a loss. And I tell you what, a lot of this can be undone. And Milfy and I had this talk, I think, multiple times, both drunk and sober, was that we can undo a lot of this big game stuff if you go on the road against Georgia and you beat them early next season.
Yep.
That's a huge game. The schedule, we were looking at the schedule. The home schedule is a cakewalk, but the road schedule is fucking tough, man.
Schedule's a butt pucker. My God.
You're going to be at Georgia, you're going to be at Michigan, and you're going to be at Stanford.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Stanford might be going slightly down, but there's something about playing at Stanford that just does not sit right with Notre Dame right now.
Yeah, to the tune of, I don't think Notre Dame's ever won there under Brian Kelly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. How did Southern Cal do in their bowl? Oh man, yeah. They still have Clay Helton.
They sure do. And they may not have Cliff Kingsbury for very long.
Oh yeah, Cliff Kingsbury is interviewing for NFL jobs, which would be hilarious. Yeah, we haven't even gotten into the silly season yet, and it's been damn silly.
It's been drunk.
Just ask Temple how they're feeling right now.
Yeah, they're 15 minutes of Manny Diaz.
Oh man, there's a 30 for 30 about that entire retirement situation.
Oh my God, I can't wait to hear what the hell happened there.
And because it's Miami, it's dumb. Apparently right now there's some nepotism stuff that didn't sit right with Rick, that he wasn't going to fire his own kids, so then he just took his ball and went home. But
that was apparently the big perspective, is that he refused to do it.
There's more.
Of course.
It's Miami. There's absolutely more. Urban's coming. God, no. No. I don't want that. The whole redemption angle with Urban is enough to make me almost physical ill.
It's not even like we don't want him. It's not going to happen.
No, and I think it was very clear why he didn't come here the first time, considering the runs he's had at Florida, considering the runs he's had at Ohio State. Now, things were a little bit better at Ohio State, but that just means the arrest record rap sheet wasn't as long. That's a really low-ass bar to clear. And there was clearly other shit going on in there that he decided to turn a blind eye to. He's going to SC at best. I really hope. Okay, Urban to SC. Okay. All right, good. Yeah. That I have no doubt on at all.
Gross. Yeah, that happened.
But honestly, if that happens, I think you see now they have their own outside of athletics sexual, assault lawsuit, and if they're smart, they don't go anywhere close to that.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think it's just me, Milf. I think everybody in the world has called Urban to SC.
Yeah, God. I mean, it's the only logical conclusion.
All right, well, I think that was cathartic. And that was a lot of great questions from the chat. It's been a while since we've had to come ask hard questions, and really, there's hard questions to ask about the program, and it's good that they're asking questions. And honestly, I felt encouraged that there was very realistic views, because I think a lot of the post-game comments after Alabama was like, oh, it was an issue of depth. We're like, oh, motherfucker, not just an issue of depth. It's an issue of your ones right now.
It was an issue of the ones versus the S-class Warriors they had on their team.
Yeah, it wasn't just that. There was a whole lot more. And now it's like, look, we can get here. We expect to get here. Our margin for error is super small. And with everything, thankfully, things have unfolded even in the past 24 hours where it was clear Notre Dame belonged. Unfortunately, they ran up against a murder machine. It would have been fun to go up against Oklahoma, but even that would be a terrible matchup for ND.
I actually would have been terrified of that.
Imagine if Love goes down and Kyler Murray gets to pick that team apart.
No.
It would be
bad.
At
30.
Yeah, absolutely. So, only school, well, a few more schools now are able to beat 12 FBS teams thanks to the conference championship in the playoff, unfortunately.
Yeah.
With all that being said, is there anything else before we get back into some of the interviews?
No. I just wanted to get that out of my system. We can go ahead and catch up on some other folks that you met around the tailgate. I've been enjoying hearing these, and because I didn't get to go, so I'm looking forward to hearing the rest.
And before we get to more of it, I do want to say, one final thing about the tailgate was that I wasn't even expecting to get to do much for Extra Life. People were so great about donating beers and donating money and everything that I walked away from there, and people were hitting up the Venmo. And when I finally sat down to calculate it, with a few different merch sales and stuff that were from charity at herlittlesons.com/store, a few specific items were tagged directly there. A couple were artist contributions would go directly to there. Over $600
nice
in a donation there. Wow. Oh, and I promised to do a terrible shot as well. I forgot about that. All right, so for one of these, I need to go make, and I did, and I'm not bringing back the stash.
No, God, please don't. I'm so glad to see it gone.
Only for the next one. So, yeah, this is going to be a great palate cleanser. We're going to start off with my boy Eddie, and I do have a shot to take. I'm going to do, I forgot what I actually said I was going to do when we topped 5,500, but I'm going to do the Ryan call because I got Shane on here, so he's going to see me take some absinthe. He's going to see me take a little bit of Everclear.
You're going to shoot absinthe?
Yes.
Oh, dude, I wouldn't recommend it.
I've already done it once. So I will make sure to grab that at some point here. One of these interviews I know is a little bit long to actually give me that time. But let's go ahead and get into this. Just FYI, Shane, we're going to be muted here, so feel free to laugh or say whatever. We'll be in the chat, of course. But here's me catching up with my boy, NDEddieMac.
All right, we're coming from the HLS podcast. I got none other than my boy, NDEddieMac, right now. Eddie, how you doing?
Ritter, I'm so ready. Let's fucking do this.
Oh, dude.
I'm so ready.
Look, we should just say that it's science that the last time we were here tailgating in pretty much this exact same spot.
Just right here?
We won.
We won?
We won the game.
We won again. Why would we lose now?
Why lose now? It seems really dumb.
It'd be very dumb.
It'd be very dumb to lose right now.
And the one thing they'd say about Notre Dame is that apparently they're smart people. That's what they always say. Losing is for dummies. I don't want to be a dummy. Do you want to be a dummy?
I don't want to be a dummy, but I will tell you I've drank so much that I might be a dummy right now.
I mean, that's fair. Hey, I got to tell the good internet folks, Ryan throws a hell of a tailgate. Thank you very much for having us. It's been a great time.
Thanks for coming.
Of course, brought a little bourbon for the cause. You know, we stay on brand at all times.
Oh, we are very much, if anything, on brand. So, Eddie, let's be real with the fans here.
All right.
I know you were contractually obligated on the podcast.
I have fulfilled my contractual obligations.
That being said, what do you feel about this game?
Fuck Clemson. I'm ready to go.
Oh, yeah, there we go, baby!
Their secondary is garbage. With Dexter Lawrence out, our Dex, who is finally not in the negative zone, we've saved him from the raft. He's ready to go. He'll be able to actually run up the middle because apparently there's now a 6'8", 375-pound hole.
Weird how that shit happens.
Super weird.
It's almost like you shouldn't take illegal drugs. It's weird.
You know, I've heard there's a reason they call them illegal drugs. Dexter Lawrence should be in a federal penitentiary for at least the next 9 days. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? It only makes sense.
Hey, as long as he ain't here today, I don't give a shit what happens.
Well, he may be here, but he ain't going to be on the D line.
And that's all that matters. No, Ian Book remains our beautiful, perfect football angel.
Coached by your beautiful, perfect angel, Tommy Rees.
I am very much looking forward to this game. I am very much looking forward to a win.
You dodged the statement. You absolutely dodged the statement.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never dodged anything in my life. But Ryan,
yes,
it is time to win another football game.
Let's do this.
We've never lost a game this year.
We really haven't. We shouldn't lose the game the rest of the year.
Why start now?
Why start now? We got Frank from UHND.com.
Right? Frank,
what's up, buddy?
Cheers. You're ready to go.
I'm ready to go. I've been ready to go.
Oh, dude, I really wish I was doing this on Twitch as well because the green on his beard,
the hair, the whole
eyebrows, the eyebrows. Oh, he got the eyebrows.
Attention to detail.
That is detail.
If you're going in, you're going all in.
You got to respect.
That is the right kind of guy that we're looking for.
Exactly.
Let's do this. Let's do this. It'd be really fucking dumb to lose now.
We're not gonna lose.
We're not gonna lose. We're gonna win. Fuck Clemson. Go Irish.
And I want Bama.
We were so positive. We were so happy.
You're not gonna lose. Nah, fuck Clemson. You're not gonna lose.
Yeah, we want Bama, Frank.
No, you don't. I promise you.
All right, so I have the ingredients for the shot, so I'm going to mix it and pour it when we get to this next one. And this next one has a lot of crazy screaming, a lot more wind than usual. This one, it's going to include our own Milfy All-Star in the chat here. He was involved in this one, as well as some other friendly otters that were around there. You're going to hear all kinds of craziness. I actually had to edit this a little heavily because the shotgun you heard in the cold open happened after this, so there was a lot of dead audio everywhere. But it's still pretty fun. And while we do this, I'll mix the shot, we'll take it, and then we'll get to Jessica Smetana and Mike Golic Jr. So here we go. Here are the Otters.
Here with some Otters rocking this motherfucker right now. Been roommates or next door neighbors around this. We're here at the HLS Tailgate right now. And so I'm here. We got multiple different voices. You got me, Ryan, Eddie Tex. You got D-Camp, you got Milfy, and you got Mike and Jay right now. I don't know. Who should I start with as far as thoughts for the game? Who's going to start this off? Oh, no, don't jump out at once. Danikins always has the best lady. Pull that out. Come on, Milfy. That's your opinion. It is cold, damn it. The man that is most talkative in chat has no opinions on this. I was expecting a lot more. Ian Quincy for Armstrong. God, I hope that pays off. The wheel. Always look for the wheel. Do I have to bring Frank in here? Frank, come on in.
What am I talking about?
Anything.
Anything? Irish by 100.
Irish by 100. Let's go, baby. Wait. Is that a mysterious Eddie?
It's your boy. What's good? Why are you doing this?
Because we're going to put it on a podcast, you asshole.
Dumb ideas as always, but hey, fuck Clemson, go Irish.
There we go. All right, Mike and Jay, you got the football knowledge. What are you thinking about this one right now?
I'm actually feeling better than I thought I would about this one.
think we got a real good chance of winning this game. All right, there we go. I like it. I like it. All right. You haven't given thoughts. You're going to be in the cold open of this, so you might as well give like some actual thoughts. Are we feeling a win?
I'm just not intimidated. It's weird.
Yeah, fuck that Clemson bullshit.
They're definitely weak out here tailgating, so I kind of think they're going to be weak on the field too. Yes. You just got to assume that.
I just literally when you said that, I saw one dude. We got the Golic next to us.
Oh my goodness. James is here too. We're actually, I think KB's coming at some point, so we're
all right. Yeah, no, we're up. It can be edited. She went to my sister high school.
sorry.
Oh, this is going to be a gigantic clusterfuck of a podcast. It's fucking beautiful.
All right, go Irish. Woo!
There we go. That works.
All right, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's not interrupting at all. Like this whole thing is going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster until Notre Dame ends up going to the national title game. I wish it's Bama. Oh, that's a spicy shit right there.
I want Bama.
We want Bama. We really don't want Bama. Like, we really don't want Bama. Please, Caliburn. Oh, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Well, look, I mean, the playoffs, let's be honest, the playoffs have always delivered expectations that we did not quite have. I know Alabama and Clemson have met 3 different times, but
It's not going to be a fourth.
a couple of those meetings were expected. You only have a trilogy. You're not doing a 4th time. I'm talking to you, George Lucas. I'm talking about your bullshit Star Wars prequels right now.
There's 7 rock beds. Nick Saban's record against Heisman winners. 1 and 4.
1 and 4 against Heisman winner.
Who is this?
Nick Saban.
Oh,
Johnny, I knew he had it. Mikey J's got the stats, man. Got to dig for the gold right now.
Fun fact for the day.
That's the fun fact for the day.
And the one was Jason White.
Look, it's totally factual. Do we fact check on this podcast? Yeah. No, we don't. Nobody tells a lie on this podcast. All right.
It's true if we believe it's true.
It's true if we believe it's true. All right.
George Costanza said that.
Hold on a second. We're going to shotgun live on the podcast. Yes. All right.
What do you mean try? There is no try, Danny kids.
All right, let's do this.
There is
Let's do this.
and shotgun. It's just
There is no motherfucking try.
And then we go proceed to actually go do the shotgun.
Oh my god.
That gives you a good idea of really how we all felt during the tailgate, to say the least. Yes, we were very happy. We were very jovial. And I did a lot of shots. I didn't do anything terrible like this.
Does it smell as blue as it looks?
No, not really, because there's like that much blue curacao in there, but there is Everclear. There's absinthe, and I'm going to be really regretting doing this because I got to go to work tomorrow. And thanks for all the Extra Life donations, everybody. Typically, this only happens on my personal Twitch channel, but it's going to happen here as well. And I will say, I tried to do the shotgun live on Twitch, Shane. I don't know if Twitch removed it or it never worked because I don't know where the video is.
It's gone? For real?
It's gone. I don't know where it is.
We're like, we cannot condone this behavior.
All right, well, we can't condone this behavior either. I'm sure we're going to do it anyway. Bottoms up, y'all. This is going to suck.
Joy fog.
I forgot how bad that was. Holy fuck.
It looked awful. Let me tell you.
Yeah, so this is the kind of stuff you can watch me do for charity. They already sent me an email. Next year, it's already open for 2019.
Great. Your liver crying.
Yeah, I have no idea what we're going to do, but we got a lot of time to plan it. All right, let's get to the main events right now because I got 2 true all-stars from the podcasting and sports media world. We are going to start with Notre Dame alumna Jessica Smetana of the MVP podcast over at Sports Illustrated. I reached out to her on a whim because I had said something about she was really bummed about Miami. I said, hey, I can't offer you sun or beaches, but I can offer you brisket.
Yep.
She said, I love brisket. I said, well, would you also like to come chat on a random ass podcast? And she agreed. And here we go. This is Jessica Smetana from Sports Illustrated. This was a lot of fun. Hope you all enjoy it.
All right, so I'm here at the HLS Tailgate with Jessica Smetana from Sports Illustrated and the MVP podcast. Is that the proper one?
Yes, most valuable podcast.
All right, well, first, before we get started on the Notre Dame, because we're going to give you more than 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Tell us about the MVP podcast.
Well, like you said, I get 30 seconds to talk about Notre Dame, but we basically cover all the sports stuff of the current day, and I try to sprinkle in as much Notre Dame football as I can.
And you make Charlotte Wilder, I think, a Notre Dame football fan after the Shamrock Series.
Yeah, which when you win 12 games, it's easier to make someone a Notre Dame fan than when you win 3 or 4 games. But we don't have to talk about that right now. We're happy right now. We're just enjoying the 12-win season.
We are. So the big question I have for you, because
Yo, Ryan.
I know on your podcast.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's okay.
We're heading in. But you guys going to come back here after the game?
Yes, we will be here back after the game.
See you back again. All right. Thank you for hosting.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have to edit as much of it. All right, so.
You should leave that in.
I do not edit very far. So, talk about your podcast.
Yes.
A successful season going undefeated for regular season. So, we got a lot of it seems like, is there like a generation gap with the older alumni and the younger alumni? Because I'm on your side on here.
Okay.
I feel like we're playing with house money.
Yeah.
Whatever happens here is awesome.
Yeah.
But do you feel like how is, because you're younger than I am. I graduated in 2007. You are much younger than that.
I'm a fair bit younger than you.
But
we're both relatively young.
We're relatively young. I am no longer officially a young alumni anymore. You still are.
Okay.
Young alumna, rather.
You're right, alumna.
But do you feel like there's a generation gap, like trying to get the pulse of your quote-unquote millennial generation?
Yeah, well, I'm Gen Z technically, I think.
So do you think there's a generation gap to where most Notre Dame fans your age would feel happy about a season like this?
Yes and no. I think personally I'm very happy with this season no matter the outcome today, or say we win and we lose next week. I'm okay with 12 wins. I think that as Notre Dame fans in general, we should lower the expectations, just because right now with Nick Saban at Alabama and Dabo Swinney at Clemson, there's 2 big powerhouse college football institutions that we're competing against, and I think the older generation's yes, but we should be one of those teams, which is fair, but I think until Notre Dame is always going to have their academic standards. They're always going to have all of the leaps and bounds that students are going to have to go to be Notre Dame recruits and students and athletes. That yes, we can compete with the big teams, but maybe just not yet. Maybe in 3 to 5 years we will be, but this year was kind of a surprise to a lot of Notre Dame fans. I don't think anyone thought we were going to be in the playoff. Maybe they did, but I didn't. I thought we'd be a 10-win team. I didn't think we'd be a 12-0 team, playoff team. So I'm happy with this. I think give the recruit, we've had some solid recruiting years. Give it time to develop, and we're 2 seasons away from 4-8. So I'm happy with this. I think now that Brian Kelly and Chip Long and the defense luckily have this vote of confidence that that's going to bring in more recruits, and you're going to be able to build this powerhouse like Dabo and Nick Saban have been able to do at their teams. But Notre Dame hasn't really been doing that. Like I said, 2 years off of 4-8. So I think this 12-win team's kind of a surprise. I thought it was going to be a good team this year. I didn't think it was going to be a top 4 team. So I'm happy. And it's really rare. I think Notre Dame fans are always trying to find a way to be unhappy. And no matter what, they're we're 12 wins, but we didn't do blah blah. And I'm I'm happy. 12 wins is a big deal. Even if we lose today, as long as we don't lose by 35 points, which is very possible. And when you listen to this, you'll know the final score. So people will probably be laughing at me if we do lose by 35 points.
They'll be laughing because we're going to win this one, right? That's what's
I hope we win.
I sure do as well.
That's the thing. I feel older fans think just because you're not, you're saying X, Y, and Z means you don't think we're going to win. It's no, that's not the case. I think this is a really good team, and it's just a surprise. I don't think anyone at the beginning of the season thought Notre Dame was going to be in the playoffs, so I'm happy. We're here.
Yeah, I remember telling a lot of people, Notre Dame Club of Dallas, what do you think of the team? game. I said, maybe the way the schedule lays out, maybe 10 wins.
Yeah.
I didn't expect playoffs either, so this is a very happy surprise.
I agree.
I feel like we're playing with house money. And granted, so kind of the other week, I think you had one big bowl. So does that like color your opinions of Brian Kelly?
I mean, I think in past seasons it has, but this season, everyone's saying it feels different, and I feel like since 2016 it has felt different. I mean, obviously last year the Miami game was a huge blow to any Notre Dame fan's confidence. I've tried to repress that as deeply. I forgot that it happened until College Game Day reminded me of it this morning. But as far as like bowl games go, Brian Kelly's been pretty good in bowl games, and I don't know. The Fiesta Bowl sucked 2-3 years ago. You can't really predict these things. It's like you can't compare like the Music City Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl to like a playoff game. Like this game actually matters for both teams. Like the Fiesta Bowl, you know, it was important, I guess, but like no, it didn't really matter. And he hasn't really played in a game that's mattered since 2012, which was his second year as a head coach, and you know, six years ago.
Anybody would have beaten.
Yeah, exactly.
A&M beat them on very fluky.
Right, exactly. Against an Alabama team that was like had zero weaknesses and was one of the best college football teams of all time. So I don't know. Brian Kelly for like reputation's sake, needs to win this game, I think. But if we lose and it's not by 35 points, I think that it shouldn't count against his reputation in the postseason, because it's just a different game.
Yeah, especially after going 4-8, like you said, going in 4-8 and actually making it to the playoffs this season.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your opinions of this game in general. What are you thinking about Notre Dame, Clemson? And I already see your face right now.
I have no idea what to think. I watched Clemson all season because I am a Clemson fan. I went to Clemson my freshman year, graduated from Notre Dame though, and I watched Notre Dame all season. And like both of these teams are really good, and Notre Dame has shown more weaknesses, I think, than Clemson has playing their schedule, but Clemson's schedule has been so easy that, you know, it's just hard. You can't really compare their resumes, so it's really hard to say what's going to happen. Like Clemson has some dudes on their defensive line,
except for Dexter
Lawrence, who's out. But I don't even know if that's going to make, like, they've been starting a freshman, Xavier Thomas, is it, on D-line, he's like a stud. They just have like depth. Like their team has so much depth. So I don't know. I've watched both teams all season, and I still have no idea what to make of this matchup. I think it's just a weird matchup, and I don't know what to expect.
Well, either way, we're having fun. So how was the brisket? This is the most appreciated.
The brisket was fantastic.
All right, there we go.
Brisket was good. The tailgate's great. It's freezing in Dallas, but I'm having a good time, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm 3 White Claws deep, and I'm talking about football. So I hope a single second of what I said made sense.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, literally, we're not broadcasting on Twitch right now. I can see her. She's shivering right now.
My feet are cold.
Yeah, no, I'm cold as well. There's no joke about this. We're going to sign off. Any last thoughts, Jessica?
Go Irish.
Here we go.
And we should be in Miami right now.
Oh, I'm happy we're here, only for some local reason.
That's true. But we should be in Miami right now.
But thank you. Thank you for Jessica for joining us. Subscribe to the MVP podcast.
Yes.
You absolutely should.
Most valuable podcast.
It is very, very fantastic. I will say this. And look, for no other reason, Jessica converted Charlotte to a Notre Dame fan. You're absolutely
She's not even Catholic. She's Jewish. She's a Notre Dame fan now.
And there you go. That's what you need to know. So we're going to sign off. We're going to beat Clemson. We'll see what happens when we start recording on the post game. But thank you, Jess, for joining us.
You're welcome. Go Irish.
Go Irish.
All right, there we go. Thank you so much, Jess. And of course, yes, subscribe to the MVP podcast through a link in the chat, but find it on your favorite podcasting stream. But yeah, I like it. Milf was laughing at it too. 3 White Claws deep, because at the time I did that interview, I think I had somewhere around 3 to 4 beers. I did a shotgun, and then maybe like 3 shots or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's all professional. 3 White Claws.
Yeah, you should have been to Miami, but I was, so
Yeah, and then you would have been able to record in I think a much less windy and cold environment. And I wasn't even lying for the audio. She was legit shivering. She was sitting here doing this.
It sounded awful.
Yeah. All right. So the final interview we have is Mike Golic Jr., who, as we're setting up the tailgate and stuff, we're like, hey, it's that Mike Golic Jr.? Somebody pointed it out. I was like, yeah, it's interesting. So as Jess was coming to our tailgate, of course, she ran into the much more famous person, probably much better conversation. So it was really crazy. They chit-chatted for a while, and Jessica had, waved at me. She's like, I think I see you. And I'm like, you're talking to Golic, aren't you? So I went over and, we're setting up things. It's like, yeah, take your time. I'm going to be here for a while. And, and Golic's like, oh, you're doing a podcast. I was like, oh, yeah. It's like, I would love to have you on as well. It's like, yeah, absolutely. Just make sure. And he's holding up his solo cup that was full of Jameson. It's like, just make sure I don't have too many of these before you come by and interview me. And all I can think of in my head is like, yeah, you have no idea how drunk I am right now, do you? So, to close this all out, we have Mike Golic Jr. So, here we go, folks. This is the last one.
I'm here with Mike Golic Jr., of course, Sports Illustrated. Oh, no, ESPN.
ESPN. That's the one I can say. You just got done with Superstar Jessica over there from Sports Illustrated.
I did. ESPN, of course, Notre Dame alumnus as well. So Mike, for anybody, I highly doubt the Venn diagram of people that listen to this and don't know what you do, but let me know what you're doing right now with ESPN.
Yeah, so I'm on first and last, 4 to 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, and then I also am a air quotes contributor on Golic and Wingo. I'm on with them 6 to 8 a.m. Eastern every Monday through Friday also. I've called some college football games this fall. I just, however this dates, I just called the New Era Pinstripe Bowl in New York, and then I also moonlight as an analyst of Notre Dame football, which really just means I'm a fan that gets better access because ESPN happens to have some of these games.
That's living the dream as far as I'm concerned.
It is. It's a great deal.
Absolutely. All right. So you played under Brian Kelly, obviously.
Yes.
So really interested in your thoughts on Brian Kelly and kind of really the transition he's taken to get here right now. Kind of what are your thoughts on the Brian Kelly era this far?
Yeah, everybody grows during the process. What you hope. Like you see college football is littered with coaches who have lost jobs because they failed to adapt as time goes on. Brian Kelly's been a head coach in the Division I level and a lot of successful programs, but we know a lot of football has changed quickly over the last 5 or so years during his tenure. And for him to be able to adjust, whether it's some of the hires that he's made, whether it's taking more input from some of the student athletes, from some of the players on the team, and really using that. There are a lot of coaches that'll pay lip service to that, but I give Brian a lot of credit for actually making meaningful changes in the last few years even. The 4-8 season was obviously a tough one for everybody, but I think some of the changes that he made internally off that and being able to self-scout a little bit and say these are the things that we can do better have clearly paid off for them.
So, how are you feeling about this game in general with Notre Dame facing Clemson in the college football playoff semifinal right now?
Better than I did a couple of days ago. I went back in and started looking at the last couple of games for both teams, and I was really shocked as the more I watched again and kind of remembered, the better I felt about Notre Dame not only could win this game, but maybe should in some senses. The things that I've seen, especially late in the season, get Clemson, that have hamstrung that defense, are things that Notre Dame already does well. They use their running backs really well in the short passing game. Their running backs are great pass protectors with an offensive line that's gelled a lot better since the Navy game. So they do all of these things that when you're trying to go up against a defense that is full of NFL talent, guys all across the board, you've got to be able to do to kind of knock some of the edge off of that. So I really think their offense is certainly up to the task. We know what Ian's done all year. He's a known commodity. And the defense has to go out there and be great like they have been. Be timely, continue to make plays, especially on the interior. Jerry Tillery, Tavon Coney need big games out of them. But I think we've got the dogs to hunt for this one.
All right, so I asked Jessica the same question. And it's even, I think, more poignant because you were on the inside with the BK era.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a lot of people, I think, in the fan base. It's like national title or nothing.
Yep.
It's been a long time since we've won a bowl game of note. So how are you feeling about the success of this season hinging on this game?
Oh, I mean, listen, that's what you come to Notre Dame for. We don't have a conference. We don't play in conference titles. We come here to win a national championship. You come there to put a banner up in the tunnel. You come there to have them add your team's year to that sign that you hit over the play like a champion sign. So this is absolutely what it hinges on, and we wouldn't want it any other way. I think that's the one thing is that's the mentality you come into here with. You know it. So that's what we expect. That's what they expect. And the way this team has conducted themselves this year, when you hear the leaders talk, that's what they expect to a man on this roster.
So do you feel this season would be a success only with this victory, or even going undefeated in this season? Would this be a successful season?
I mean, if I'm working at this from an outsider's perspective, and I'm saying national perception, they just need to play well in this game regardless of the outcome to continue to try and grow what they have been around there. The rest of us, I mean, and when you've been on a team, you know, like, the tenets of winning football are all there. It's also difficult. Like, when you get to these spots, one or two things can blow up a game in a way that you're not ready for in these spots. So I don't always take that as representative of where a program's going overall. There's so many foundational elements that they've got there, whether it's the depth of recruiting, whether it's the way they've structured leadership, you know, in the team level from guys in the locker room and things like that. So this season's already been a success. It won't be to the guys on the team because I was someone who went 12-0 and lost. Like, you feel that hurt every day for a long time after that. Everything else, though, it's absolutely been a success, but they know the measure of success around here is one thing.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mike. I'm going to let you get back to being in the tailgate and being a fan. Thank you for having us on the podcast.
Hey, appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, there you have it, Mike Golic Jr. And yeah, again, really want to thank him for giving basically me the time of day. I'm just some random dude that hops up there and just shooting my shot. Hey, you want to be on the podcast? Sure, love to, man. Absolutely. Just make sure I'm not drunk. Mike, do you think you go and feed into
Ryan Kelly's better in house?
No, all seriousness though, it was awesome to hear his perspective because I don't get to hear many former players. I mean, they talk about Notre Dame in generalities, but never like the specifics of, okay, you've been on the inside. What do you feel like? Is undefeated season good enough? How do you feel on there? And help, proof is in the pudding because it's legitimately what Khalid Kareem said.
Yeah.
This sucks. I'm coming back. I want another shot.
Go out on that note.
Yeah, so it was great. A big thanks to everybody that was on there, all the way from Eric, who attended his first Notre Dame game and was super shy to even come on the podcast. He was like, wait, you want to record me? I'm like, yes, dude. Your first Notre Dame game. Absolutely. MQ and Biscuit, Eddie, of course, all my Otters, including Milfy here in the chat, Jessica Smetana, Mike Golic Jr. I want to thank them all for that. And everybody that came to the tailgate, holy crap, that was the highlight. Just so awesome to be able to do all of that. Was a hell of a lot of fun, just getting to meet people left and right, and getting to run into a bunch of old friends from college as well. So it was like the perfect mix as well. So, Shane, man, we're almost done. We have a national title game to talk about, and that's about it.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. It flew by, it felt like.
It did. It really did fly by. It's been a lot of fun, obviously. Going undefeated always helps. I will still wear these perfect season shirts. If anybody brings up Clemson and be like, is this perfect season? At least it's not a fucking revenge tour shirt that doesn't have the right shit on it. Hey, we're going to lead off week 1 with a loss. At least this has undefeated teams on the back of it. Or wait, undefeated losses on the back of it. Yeah. Sim. I don't know, Shane. We haven't even talked about this yet. Do we dare do a Bama Clemson sim?
Maybe.
We'll have to chat off Twitch about it. We'll see what we can pull together. There will be a picks podcast. That I know for sure. When it happens, I don't know. I'll have to talk to Eddie. I got to do work tomorrow, unfortunately. We'll see what we can do, and of course we will be podcasting the off season. If those of you that have followed us for a while don't know when, we'll commit to a schedule because that's very dumb of us to do, but we'll definitely have some stuff. But man, Shane, it's been a hell of a great season. We got to do a lot of new things, got to break a lot of new ground, and it sucks that it's over for Notre Dame. I was hoping to get to do a national title episode for Notre Dame, but
I've been nuts.
Alas, it is what it is.
we've come a long way. I think we've all grown. The brand is at a high now. And I think that we can only really look forward to the team. I think getting better. This is going to be the thing that I think that propels them to perhaps maybe an era of prosperity, whether it be on Brian Kelly's way out the door or not. That hopefully we can sustain success over the long term, so we can do this again every year.
Yeah, the foundation feels a lot stronger, where this shouldn't be a once in a 3 or 4 years, but at least in every year or two. It really feels like the foundation's there. But hell, next season's going to be a hell of a ride. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to some BVG revenge. I'm looking forward to some Bob Davie revenge. It's been decades in the making.
Bowling Green.
It's going to be great. All right, folks. Well, that is going to do it for us. Thank you so much for joining us here live on twitch.tv/HerLoyalSons. Of course, you can subscribe to the podcast over on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and wherever you happen to get your podcasts at. Come join us in Discord. It's a long off season. You need fans to talk to. HerLoyalSons.com/Discord. But of course, you can always find us at our home at HerLoyalSons.com. Thank you all for listening. Thank you to all of our podcast guest interviews. Y'all have a good one.